Well, it looks like Flynn lied to the FBI, but not. But what he did was not actually illegal. And more importantly, the conversations happened during the transition team.
Yeah. Let's bring in Harvard Law Emeritus. He was the dean of that school for a long time, lifelong Democrat, author of Trumped Up, a wonderful book. Alan Dershowitz, good morning. Please make sense of this for us, counselor.
Well, the last thing any prosecutor wants to do is to have to indict his primary witness for lying, because if you indict your witness for lying, it really means he's not useful as a witness. He has no credibility. I'm sure the prosecutor was trying to indict him for some scheme or conspiracy that involved other people in the White House, but there is nothing there. And he had to finally come down and indict him for lying, which makes him a useless witness. So this is not a show of strength by the prosecutor. It's a show of weakness. It's a show that they really have nothing on anybody above Flynn, and that Flynn made the terrible mistake about lying about something he could have told the truth about, because the two things he lied about were perfectly lawful, perfectly proper for somebody to do during the transition. And so I think it really reflects the weakness, not a strength, in Mueller's prosecution.
Professor, your perspective is different than almost everything else we're hearing, which is if he cut such a deal, he must have the goods. He must be dishing on the Trump White House. You're saying, actually, in what's happened here is a demonstration that there probably is not much there.
Well, I've been saying different things than most other commentators from the very beginning, and I think I've been proved right over time. If they had anything more serious, they would have indicted him for it. But they couldn't indict him under the Logan Act, because the Logan Act no longer exists. It's the act that says you can't negotiate with a foreign power if you're not in office. He did that. He would be guilty of that if the Logan Act were in effect, but it hasn't been used for over 200 years. And they couldn't get a conspiracy because there is no conspiracy. Collusion is not a crime. Making a deal with a foreign power is not a crime. They may be political sins, but they're not crimes. So they had to satisfy themselves only with a lying to the FBI, which is the worst possible thing a prosecutor can bring against somebody he wants to use as a witness. Now, they still may be able to use him to lead to other witnesses or to get documentary evidence or to give them leads, but he's no good as a witness because he's obviously sold himself to protect his own son, and he's prepared not only to sing, but perhaps even to compose, that is to exaggerate, if he thinks that will get him a better deal from the prosecutor. So if I'm a defense lawyer, I have no trouble destroying his credibility on the witness stand.
Wow. And what does this do for Mueller? I mean, he has a huge budget. He's been investigating for I don't know how long. How long has he been investigating, Pete?
Long time.
Like a long time. What does this say? What does this say about just the whole state of the investigation and his credibility?
Well, it shows that he's going on the domino theory, one domino at a time. You go for the lowest hanging fruit. You indict people for lying to the FBI, for failing to fill out the proper forms. These are forms of essentially political jaywalking. Then you squeeze them and you hope that maybe they'll give you information that will lead to somebody higher up. But in the end, it's hope over reality. So I would not say this is a day for celebrating for the prosecution in the Mueller office.
All right, Alan Dershowitz,
you heard it here first.
Thanks for joining us. Get on your plane now, sir. We appreciate it. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.